Your car doesn't belong in this neighborhood. That's how it started, right there. In the middle of a crowded HOA meeting, Vivian Lockhart standing at the front pointing at my Rolls-Royce like she'd just caught me dumping a body. And you know what's funny? She managed to make it sound polite, but you could feel the venom dripping from every syllable. 23 families watching her, watching me like we were on opposite sides of a courtroom. And maybe we were. That's Millbrook Heights for you. Place always smelled like cheap coffee and expensive resentment, you know what I mean? Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, folks packed into their little metal chairs, everybody pretending this was just a friendly gathering. I picked a seat in the back, old habits dying hard, and started taking notes. Nobody knew who I was before retirement or how much I'd learned about documenting everything. Vivian, 53, blonde pearls, the kind of smile that's only for show. She tapped her fancy nails on the podium and kicked things off. Thank you all for coming on such short notice. She started talking about community standards and threats to property values, which is HOA speak for someone new moved in and we don't like them. Her gaze swept the room and landed on me, locked on like a targeting laser. Specifically, she said we need to address vehicles that don't align with the aesthetic harmony of Millbrook Heights. There it was, less than 2 weeks living here, and already I'm the enemy. Didn't matter. I hadn't broken a single rule. Just that my car, or maybe my face, or maybe just my refusal to grovel, made her uncomfortable. I recognized that look too. 30 years in federal law enforcement teaches you to spot the difference between concern and contempt. And this was the same rehearsed disgust I'd seen before things got ugly elsewhere. Vivian pulled out a piece of paper like it was Exhibit A in a trial. Mr. Hale's vehicle, while technically legal, creates a visual distraction that several residents have complained about. Most people stayed silent, that dangerous kind of silence where cruelty flourishes. We're proposing a $500 fine for aesthetic disruption payable within 30 days. She looked right at me. Of course, Mr. Hale, if you'd like to address the board. I looked up, met her gaze, and let 3 long seconds hang in the air. Then I went full deadpan, my cars within my property lines measured to the inch. I filed the required HOA notification the day I moved in per bylaw 3.1. If there are complaints, I'd appreciate seeing them in writing with specific violations as outlined under Section 9.4. She froze. Hadn't expected me to know the rules better than she did. A little power shifted in the room, not much, but enough that I could feel eyes on us. Vivian recovered fast. Well, we'll certainly take your input under advisement, Mr. Hale. But this isn't about paperwork. It's about understanding the spirit of community, fitting in, being part of something larger than yourself. She talked about harmony and shared values, which is code for get in line or get out. I'd heard it before, the kind of talk that comes before something burns, meeting dragged on landscaping budget, all stuff that could have been an email. When it finally broke up, I made for the parking lot, feeling that October chill cut through my jacket. That's when I heard the footsteps, fast and heavy. Hey, old man. I turned slow. Garrett Lockhart, Vivian's son, 27, tattooed cheap beer on his breath, wearing that stained hoodie like a uniform. He'd been glaring at me the whole meeting. My mom's too nice, he started. She thinks she can reason with people like you. Me. I don't waste time. He stepped closer, flicked a silver Zippo open and shut the flame dancing between us. His face lit up all wrong. Sell that fancy car and get something normal or pack up and leave. Trust me, you don't want to see what happens if you stick around. He let the lighter flame hang a little too long. Accidents happen around here. Real shame when nice things get damaged. That's when my brain kicked into gear, noting every detail, the lighter model, old burn scars on his hand, how comfortable he was with fire. That sounds like a threat of property destruction, I said flat and even. I want to be clear. Are you threatening to damage my car if I don't comply with your mother's demands? He twisted his mouth into something that maybe used to be a smile, not threatening anything, old man. Stuff just happens. He turned and walked away, Zippo clicking rhythm like a time bomb. I got in my car, didn't even shake. But my mind was already working. Dashcam had caught everything 4K upload to the cloud. I pulled out my phone, started a new note, date, time, thread, everything. That anger, the cold kind, the kind that waits, started to build. I wasn't mad at Garrett so much as at the inevitability, the wasted years I could see coming. Home in 3 minutes. Kitchen table became a workspace. Files, folders, evidence, protocols, muscle memory. If this went the way I thought, I'd need every detail. Justice requires precision. Phone buzzed Celeste Rafferty, former ATF, now FBI. Heard you bought a place in Millbrook Heights. How's retirement? I stared at the message, then typed, someone threatened to damage my car tonight. HOA president doesn't like luxury vehicles, she shot back Sterling. Please tell me you're not looking for trouble. I set the phone down. Trouble had found me wearing a cream blazer and flicking a lighter. I finished my tea, checked my security system, 4 cameras, motion sensors, everything armed. Upstairs to bed, thinking about all the statistics I'd written about escalation, hate crimes, how these things always follow a pattern. 73% of harassment cases end in property destruction within 6 months. I'd taught that to hundreds of agents. Now I was living it. All I could hear was that lighter, click, flame, click, the sound of my next case. Sure enough, 6:15 next morning, yellow envelope taped to my door, $500 fine for aesthetic violation, Vivian's signature big as life. Photographed it, scanned it, started a new folder, financial harassment. Day 1 of escalation. 3 days later, another envelope, $300 for lawn maintenance violation. Grass wasn't even over the limit, measured every inch. Next trash can fine. Security cam showed I wheeled it out at 5:45, well before the cutoff. 6 neighbors waving hello, timestamp, clear as day. By the end of week 2, $1, $250 in fines. I disputed everything, paid nothing, built my case with obsessive detail. When the HOA lawyer called, voice smooth and professional, let's resolve this amicably. I let him finish, then hit him with the documentation. Every fine refuted photos, video, bylaw, citations, witness statements. Want the file or want me to present at the next meeting? Silence. I'll have to discuss with Mrs. Lockhart. Vivian escalated to social media next. I don't bother with Facebook, but my neighbor, Mr. Crane, old Marine, 3 houses down, knocked on my door, showed me his phone. Picture of my car blurry, captioned, some residents continue to prioritize personal display over community harmony. Comments worse. 3 people defended me, but the mob drowned them out. I screenshotted everything, added it to the file. Mr. Crane looked ashamed. She controls everything here. The board, the votes, the gossip. People are scared. I told him it's not cowardice, it's survival. He asked what I used to do, and when I told him 30 years federal investigator, his eyes went wide. Week 3 property damage. Mailbox knocked over. 2 days later, a thin scratch down the Rolls-Royce, deliberate, documented, measured, reported. Young cop shows up, says, could be kids. I don't argue. Just get the case number, file the report. That weekend, Garrett got bolder. Saturday, walking my route, his red Honda Civic creeps up. Still here, old man, throws a beer can, drives off. My phone's recording automatically, clear audio timeline added. Pattern perfect threats, vandalism now, physical intimidation. Next up, real violence. I called Celeste. She heard the story and said, this is the pattern you wrote about in Chapter 7. You need to leave or get ahead of this. File for a restraining order. I told her if I act now, he gets a slap on the wrist. But if I document everything and let him cross the federal line, he'll get real time, no more victims after me. She hated it, but she understood. Promise me you'll stay safe always. 93 incidents in 3 weeks, not enough for federal charges yet. I needed one more escalation, something big. Garrett loved fire, that much was obvious. It was only a matter of time. 4 weeks in HOA calls a mandatory meeting. Resolution to terminate residency for a homeowner creating a hostile environment. Didn't say my name. Didn't have to. 18 votes to expel, 3 against, 2 abstain. I stood and cited the bylaws, due process, selective enforcement harassment. Vivian's smile cracked. Garrett shouted from the back, "Sit down, old man." Mr. Crane stood between us, a quiet line in the sand. That night, "Get Out" spray painted across my garage. 4 tires, flat valve stems, loosened, calculated not to trigger police. Security cam caught 2 figures, one moved like Garrett. I filed the report, documented everything. Celeste checked in, worried. "Patterns accelerating, Sterling. What happens when they escalate to real violence? I know exactly where this is going." I wrote the playbook. Next morning, note under my wiper, "Last warning, leave or burn." Photographed, bagged, filed. I waited, reinforced cameras, checked backups, watched the pressure build. Sometimes to stop a pattern, you have to let it play out. I used my own safety as bait. 6 days later, 2:15 a.m. I watched the cameras. 2 figures, dark hoodies, carrying gasoline. Garrett's gait unmistakable. He poured it slow, deliberate, 5 gallons. His buddy followed suit. I called 911, gave my name, told them I was recording everything. They're about to ignite. Garrett flicked that silver Zippo, dropped it, and the night exploded orange. Flames 20 feet high. Glass cracked, tires burst. I watched my $460,000 car burn to the ground, caught every second in 4K. Saw them run to their Civic, got the plates, sent it all to the cops. Fire trucks arrived. Neighbors poured out, Vivian running over in her bathrobe. Fake concern on her face. "Oh my God, who would do such a thing?" I showed her the footage, Garrett's face, clear as day. "Your son is going to prison, Mrs. Lockhart." For a very long time, she went white. The officers took my evidence, recognized my name, the ATF manual guy. "You let this happen." I documented a crime, protected myself, made sure there'd be consequences. 2 days of silence while Vivian tried to act like nothing happened. But behind the scenes, the feds moved fast, warrants signed, ATF and FBI on the case. Tuesday morning, 4 black SUVs rolled up to Vivian's house, full tactical. Agents pounded on the door, brought out Garrett and Vivian in cuffs. Garrett was screaming at me. That old man set me up. Vivian sobbing, mascara running. "You used yourself as bait." "No, ma'am, I just documented your choices." Agent Whitlock from ATF shook my hand. "Cleanest case file I've seen in 15 years. You used yourself as bait." I shrugged. "Harassment gets you probation. Arson gets you 20 years. The neighborhood watched as their queen and her prince were hauled away. Mr. Crane came over, shook his head. "You let them hang themselves. Gave them every chance," I said. "They chose escalation." Media went nuts. HOA tyranny meets federal justice. My case became a national example, hashtags, trending, think pieces about Karen culture everywhere. Even the HOA ashamed reformed itself. Limits on fines, real dispute processes, term limits. They offered to make me legal advisor. I said, "No, build a community that doesn't need a cop to keep it honest." Insurance paid out. I bought a Toyota Camry, the most boring car in America. Mr. Crane laughed. "That's a downgrade." I said, "It's peace." New family moved into Garrett's old house, nervous at first. I welcomed them, said, "You're safe now." And I meant it. The preliminary hearing, Garrett in an orange jumpsuit, gaunt and pale, offered a plea, 12 years, $800,000 restitution. He apologized, but it didn't matter. Actions, not words. Vivian fought the charges, lost. 8 years. Her life as she knew it over. Millbrook Heights changed. Kids played where there'd been fear. The new family fit right in. Mr. Crane and I spoke at the National HOA conference. I told the story, how predictable it was, how preventable. Seeds of reform started to sprout across the country. A year later, standing on my porch, my Camry in the driveway, the sun setting on a peaceful, boring neighborhood, I finally felt retired. No more cases, No more patterns to document, just peace. Justice isn't revenge, it's protection. Making sure the next person doesn't have to fight the same battle. That was enough. That was everything. That finally was justice. So let me ask you this. When's the last time you stood up to power run amok? Ever seen a pattern of hate and thought, not my problem? Or maybe you've been on the receiving end and had to fight just to keep your place at the table. Drop a comment below. Tell me what justice means to you and what you'd do if the battle landed at your door. And if you've got a story about HOAs, bad neighbors, or just fighting for what's right, let's hear it. Because the only way communities get better is if we face the fire together.